So for more on this, let's welcome in former special assistant to Donald Trump, Mark Lauder, and Republican strategist Bobby Eberle. Great to see both of you. Mark's back with his golf shirt. Love it. He's going to hit the links here pretty quick. Mark, what do you make of these new appointments from the president-elect?
Well, Kevin hasn't had that role in the previous administration. He obviously ushered in a very strong economy. He's a great choice to come back to the White House, do it again as kind of our country's top economist. And when you look at the confidence ratings, Americans are already showing increased confidence in the economy, in their own economic fortunes, because they know that Donald Trump is good for low gas prices, low inflation, tax cuts, and a strong economy, growing paychecks. And Kevin Hassett will be the guy behind the scenes crunching all the numbers and getting it done.
So, Bobby, I want to get to this because this has been all the buzz the last 24 hours. As we know, Trump announcing that 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada on their products coming in. But if the country does not curb the flow of illegal migrants and drugs to our country, that is what is going to happen. So Mexico's president responded yesterday saying in part, quote, President Trump, it isn't with threats or tariffs that we resolve the migratory phenomenon or the abuse of drugs in the United States. What's needed to confront these great challenges is cooperation and understanding. What do you make of this? She's kind of saying it's going to be a tit for tat. She said, we'll put tariffs on you if you put tariffs on us. What happens now?
Yeah, I mean, as she's into the office about 2 months. So, I mean, it's understandable that she's going to talk tough for her country. But if you talk about tit for tat with these things, I mean, if our tariffs are swinging a baseball bat, she's like swinging a paper towel roll. I mean, it's just not going to be effective. And the thing is that this dialogue that she's talking about, there's no one that just appeared at the southern border. They all came through Mexico, and they came unfettered. I mean, just unimpeded. And so that has to change. She knows that. She knows there's a new sheriff in town. And it's fine to talk like that, but in the end, they're going to comply. We're going to get the border secure. And I love, Tom Homan coming to my state yesterday, talking with Governor Abbott. And we know that there's going to be cooperation there as opposed to what we had last time.
Yeah, Mark, so just to further this, so President Sheinbaum also said that a surge in weapons in Mexico and the flow of drugs to the United States is a U.S. problem. Basically saying that's a you problem, not a me problem. What do you make of those comments?
Well, it just shows you how misinformed they are. This is all flowing through Mexico into the United States. And if Mexico doesn't want to get tough with it, Donald Trump is going to force their hand and make them get tough with it. It's very similar to how it was during the first Trump administration. Mexico did not want the Remain in Mexico policy. And Donald Trump, Chad Wolf, and others basically said, well, here are your choices. We're going to close the border. We're going to shut down your economy. You're more reliant on us than we are on you, or you're going to get tough with the border. And guess what? We got Remain in Mexico. So, I mean, good luck to her. She's been in office for a couple of months, and you're about to deal with the guy who wrote the art of the deal.
And Bobby, same with tariffs. I mean, Canada, I mean, if the 25% tariff here on some of the goods, a lot of steel, lumber, oil come from Canada, a big trade partner here with the United States. Is there a fear that a lot of those prices could be driven up based on that tariff?
Well, I think that's the initial argument, right? And that's the argument that was made when Trump first came into office. I mean, they thought, hey, this is, as conservatives, as Republicans, we stand against these type of things that could drive up prices or inflation. But we've seen, as we just said, the master of the art of the deal, how to use tariffs to bring people to the negotiating table and get things done that are outside even the realm of trade. I mean, major foreign policy initiatives or decisions that need to go forward are made to go forward because of talks on tariffs. I mean, the countries don't want them. They know it's not productive. But if it brings them to the table, if it allows you to close the border, stop the flow of drugs, get a more closer trade balance, those are good things. And Trump uses it to perfection.
Mark, I think we saw Kamala Harris when she was the border czar visit the border maybe one time in 3.5 years. So Trump's not even in office yet. We still have 53 days before he is sworn in. Yet his administration is already getting to work on fixing the migrant crisis at the southern border. In fact, Tom Homan, the new border czar, was there in Texas with Greg Abbott just yesterday. Listen to what he had to say.
And I'm sending a message for the people that say they're going to get in our way. They're going to stop us from doing what we're doing in an interior enforcement operation. I've said it 100 times in the last week. Don't cross that line. It is a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. Don't test us.
Yeah, he's talking specifically to those Democratic leaders who have said that we will not help with those mass deportation efforts. And he's saying, all right, that's fine, but you'll find yourself in jail, reminding everyone it is a felony. What do you make of those comments?
No, I love it. I mean, send a very strong message. Look, these Democrat governors, mayors that are saying that they are going to harbor the illegals, they're going to shield them, they're not going to do deportations. Yet, at the same time, they're also asking for billions of dollars to care for this crisis. No, you don't get it both ways. And by the way, the federal government, the law here is very clear. I mean, imagine if it wasn't an illegal immigrant. What if it was a bank robber? What if it was a child pornographer and that they were protecting? No. The law is the law, and you need to let your law enforcement agents work with federal law enforcement agents to deal with this, to make your country, your community safer. If you don't, trust me, Tom Homan, Donald Trump, they will bring you to the table and you will cooperate.
And I mean, that's what Homan has said. He says, we're going to go after the criminals first. I mean, but then you've got the mayor of Denver saying that he's willing to go to jail for this. I mean, and he's even saying that there might be a Tiananmen Square type moment with people trying to protect these illegals, these criminals that are in their community. Bobby, your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the other part of the equation is that what you've seen in Chicago and what you've seen in New York is Democrat populists turning on these governors, turning on these mayors because, these benefits are going to illegals, they're being housed, all this taxpayer money, and Democrat loyalists are saying, well, what about us? This is our money. So not only are these guys going against, the incoming administration, but they're going through against their own constituencies, which is something that they hadn't really felt, but they're feeling that heat as well. And I think they're going to fall in line for sure because they want to be reelected. And this is becoming a major issue on the local level where Democrats are even stepping forward.
Yeah, you mentioned falling in line. Mark, what do you think it will take for some of these Democratic leaders to fall in line and essentially comply?
Ultimately, I think it's going to be at the polls in 2026 when they start to see that they are still losing. When you see these headlines, which we are going to see in the next year and a half, where ICE is trying to go in, or whether you have local sheriffs, local police agencies blocking federal officials from trying to deport these criminals, I think the American people are going to go, no, I'm not in favor of that. These are criminals, criminal illegal aliens who need to be removed from our country. And if these city and state officials are on the wrong side of that, I think the voters are going to make another very loud declaration like they did 3 weeks ago. And these Democrat politicians will realize if I want to keep my job, I'd better actually start doing what the people want.
And the first mayor that goes to jail is probably going to change a lot of these other mayors that may want to stand in the way of it too. Right?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
right.
Bobby, I think you mentioned, are you in Texas?
Yes, I am, just outside of Houston.
Okay, yeah. So we saw several counties in Texas that voted blue for more than 100 years. They voted Democrat, and then just this past election, they decided to vote Republican, and they voted for Donald Trump. And the number one reason was because of what they're seeing happen in their communities due to the wide open border. Just want you to elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it was 14 out of 16 border counties went for Trump. My county hadn't won a race, a Republican contested race in 2018 or 2020. We turned it around last time. We won the majority this time in my county. So people are ready for a change. They see that the border is not just at the border issues. They come into Houston, they come into Dallas, and as we've seen, they've come across the whole country now, and people are fed up. And Donald Trump had great crossover with the Black community, Hispanic community, and people want to change. They want safety and security. That's kind of like the number one function of the federal government is to keep people safe and secure. And we saw that speak loud and clear at the polls.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Bobby, Mark, thank you guys so much.
All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.